So, do you know of any scenarios where it might be a smart idea for a domestic relations attorney to associate an employment attorney?
I think that the classic one that Miles and I have worked on before is the spouse who is involved in a sexual harassment scenario, and it can be your client or it can be the spouse that's adverse to you, but it has a lot of ramifications. Right now, I'm not an employment lawyer, even though I'm on TV. I don't play one on TV, but the outcome of that sexual harassment situation can be the cause of the divorce, right? I mean, it could be an affair or something, and the spouse finds out about it, and that is what starts the ball rolling down the hill. Or it can affect child support and alimony and that sort of thing, I suppose, because if the spouse gets fired for that, well, that affects the spouse's ability to earn money. And I know just enough buzzwords, but then the question becomes, is that willful underemployment? And I think there's some legal issues there. So a lot of times I've gotten involved in domestic cases where one of the spouses is involved in that, and trying to work through how that termination is going to be done. Is it going to be done in a way that impedes the person's ability to get employed later on? And normally, from my standpoint, as when I represent victims, I could care less about that, right? But when you're worried about the spouse, even if it's an adverse spouse, sometimes you have to, tell your client, look, yeah, you may want, from a revenge standpoint, it might be very pleasing for your spouse to be fired and humiliated, but is that really in your best interest? And so we've talked through folks with that. Another area is similar to your business valuation efforts when you're dividing a business, but sometimes that situation or other employment situations trigger people getting removed from corporations. They lose their equity, or they have to get bought out of their corporation, or maybe they get shut out, because I've had one situation where the CEO of a company was very religious, and one of his vice presidents, I don't even think there was sexual harassment. It was just that he was had infidelity accusations, and he got upset and wanted to fire the guy as a result of that. And we worked through that with everybody to try to mitigate that and get the person bought out. And as you guys know, because I know that your firm deals a lot with valuing closely held corporations. Adding this key person removal issue raises a lot of interesting issues as it relates to valuation and so forth. And then you also might want to consult. I've never had this happen, but it occurs to me that it could be helpful. If you have somebody that has a wrongful termination claim pending during a divorce, I don't know if that's marital property or not, but you probably want to understand the value, particularly if it's a claim that the opposing spouse has, because that's going to affect their ability down the road financially. Oftentimes, particularly in age discrimination cases, the person gets fired, and let's say they're making $150,000 a year. They're a mid-level manager, maybe even a C-suite level executive. Well, and let's say they're 56. They're probably not getting back to where they were. They're probably getting another job. If they get another job, it's going to be at 30% less than what they were making. And so they're going to be looking to make up the difference in their employment case. And, understanding what that employment case might be worth I could see where that could impinge on your negotiations, particularly if you're looking at a 2-year runway for the litigation and you want to try to resolve the divorce before that. Then I think you would need to have a detailed knowledge of what that case might be worth, at least a range, so that you don't undersell or oversell it. So those are, off the top of my head, those would be areas where, consulting with someone like me might be very, very helpful.